Jim, a friend and I have been discussing Roman Reigns. The company has been pushing Roman for 4 years now. He's main evented the last 4 WrestleManias. This year likely makes 5 in a title match against Brock Lesnar. The fans have been giving a middle finger to Reigns' push since he won the Royal Rumble in 2015. I know you don't follow the current product closely, but why, Jim, would the company keep pushing a wrestler who the fans have so widely rejected? Is this an effort to replicate the divide in the crowd over John Cena? If so, at what point should they, or should they have already, abandon the idea of Reigns as a headliner? Can you think of other instances when a promoter had pushed talent that the fans obviously did not want?
Besides almost every promoter's son in the world, well, no, first of all, and once again, there's nothing wrong with Roman Reigns. From what I've seen, he's a great looking guy. He can talk a bit, although they give him some, goofy shit to say sometimes. He's got the business in his genes. He's a fine performer in the ring from, like I said, from what I've seen. And especially he was over when he was in the group, right? What was the Shield with Rollins and Zabada?
Ambrose.
So there's nothing wrong with him except that it came along right when this whole Daniel Bryan thing was happening. And especially at WrestleMania, where it's the smartest of the smart crowd. They spend the most money, but they have the biggest opinions. That's the way it happened. And once again, I haven't been in all their planning meetings, so I don't know what the fuck and what the exact reason is why it just has to be this particular guy, or it has to be this particular guy's babyface. I believe I might have fucking switched him heel and let the people go ahead and boo the fuck out of him like they wanted to, but let it look like he was getting the response that it was desired for him to get for a year or two, and then switched him back in hopefully some good fashion. And now, you could even have, once again, you could have fucking Daniel Bryan come out and shake hands with Roman Reigns, and it's Bruno and Pedro. And does anybody really have to boo him? Either one of them, especially if there's some prick that both of them are mad at that the people would rather boo, find a heel. But, I after 4 years of it, I don't know if I'd, once again, unless it was against Daniel Bryan, I don't know if I'd switch Roman Reigns heel now and start that whole process, because you'd be another year or two behind. But just because you want a guy to be the top guy doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be, or that he has to be the top babyface. He could be the top heel, then he could be the top babyface.
That's what it is right there. That's what it is right there. It's not that he's not good, because he's really fucking good. He's actually really, really good. It's that they shoved him down everyone's throat as a type of babyface that no one wants to cheer. That 1995 Diesel babyface. All of a sudden, he went from being the badass in the Shield to being seen on TV, sitting down, reading books with his daughter, and he's smiling, and he's saying "suffer and succotash," and bad humor in his promos. They didn't embrace what got him over. Instead, it became that Diesel push, where all of a sudden we want you to smile. Appear at our Christmas party. That's what happened.
Okay, well, and see, I did not see all this, so now I understand better. Also, if not only if they know that this is supposed to be the guy they're supposed to cheer in because the heel owners say so, but also you make him look like a fucking knucklehead. Yeah, that's not any good. The whole, and once again, and everybody's going to say, Cornette doesn't watch, and I've just admitted this 5 times, but I'll say this as a rule of thumb: when a heel switches babyface, he really needs, especially for the first big run, needs to change as little as possible of what he does except for his opponents. And he doesn't even need to change the way he talks, except he doesn't need to knock the fans. He just needs to knock the fucking other heel. Because the reason why the heel is over and it's going to be over in this role is because he's going to break all the rules, and he's going to fucking do all the chaotic, violent shit that he's done before to the people we like, but now he's going to do it to the people we don't like. And he's going to say all these horrible things about the people that we don't like, the stuff that we want to get to say, but we don't have the platform. So he'll say it for us. But if he just all of a sudden acts like a babyface, and that's what I learned this firsthand, with the Midnight Express, when we were babyfaces opposing the original Midnight and Paul E., so that we not only had heels, fresh heels that they would hate worse at this point, but also understood why the whole thing was working and we could work with. It was great. But when we had heels like the Samoan SWAT team, for example, it didn't give a fuck. We're just basically going to get over in the match without working our kind of match. And I didn't have anybody to play off. So we had the heels outnumbered. It was and we couldn't cheat because it would throw the match apart. It was fucking death. So a heel needs to switch babyface and be just as fucking wild against the new heel that he's mad at as he was against all the babyfaces. And then he can soften up down the road a little bit just to be a little bit more babyface-ish. But that's the way that a heel switches and stays over. And that's not done a lot these days. And also because who can tell the difference, to be honest, between the heels and babyfaces? Everybody does crazy, violent, chaotic shit with almost no repercussions. But that's the way you switch somebody, and it takes. And if a babyface switches heel, then he needs to change completely, because he needs to be as far away from the person that we liked and trusted and respected and cared about as possible, because of whatever reason he has switched, whether it was somebody he feels cheated him out of a championship or out of a victory that would have got him a lot of money, or whether it's the girl in the corner or whatever the fuck. As Tracy Smothers said about Brian Lee when he switched heel, was it the belt, the money, or the girl, Brian? Because everybody can understand that. But then all of a sudden, all of the pent-up frustrations in that baby face need to come out. And he does fucking have anger toward people and hate his former partner or teammate or friend and all the fans that support him. And why aren't you on my side? Because he has to feel like he has a legitimate bitch in his mind, but it needs to be disproven by the announcers and the babyface and everybody else. So a babyface switching heel changes everything about his in-ring, because now he's being a fucking prick. He's cheating. He don't give a fuck. And that brings a bunch of attention to him. But there's another old rule of thumb. A babyface that switches heel is not really over unless he was over to begin with as a babyface. Because if you didn't trust this guy and you didn't like this guy and you didn't cheer for this guy, then you're not going to be as incensed in some way when he pulls the rug out from under you and reveals himself to be a prick. And a heel that switches babyface, the heel has to be pretty much over as a heel to begin with to become a big babyface, because he's had to have been a top main event guy or somebody that was figured or featured in for you to care about him when he suddenly turns on whoever he turned on and made it a big deal. Unless every once in a while you're bringing a guy up from scratch and then you put him with the heel manager that manages the other main event guys so that people know that now he's a main event guy. Those are the rules of thumb. It's quite simple, really, when you fucking think about it. But since nobody does, probably the last 5 minutes, I've just told a bunch of people a bunch of shit they've never heard before.